Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the UKLC, not NLC, as we're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. This is Enclave versus Resolve. Resolve 2-0. The question is, can they go undefeated for another week, or will somebody bring them down to size with the rest of the teams here in the UKLC? I don't know. I feel Enclave, they're not a bad team. They've taken a win. They've had a loss like everyone else. Can they beat Resolve, though? That's the question.
Yeah, again, I'm looking at this matchup. I think the kind of players you want to play towards after week one, probably Sykes, probably in spot lane through Rightly and Impulse. I think it is their stronger side. Whilst Infor, definitely there could be room to play around them. I think in this kind of scenario, playing into Kenriro, it's probably going to be a relatively across the board, you can maybe argue it's going to be Resolve favored in a lot of the lanes, but I think you give your best shots to Sykes and Impulse here. You put the resources into your mid and bottom lane. And you try your best to potentially stem any bleeding depending on where Resolve play to. Yeah,
we'll be getting into picks and bans fairly soon. We are still on 11-11 because Jamada did ask before we went into Champ Select, but it's exactly the same patch. So because we're not changing pack weekly, so it is 11-11. Means we'll probably see more of what we saw last week. Question is I wonder if we're going to see the Gwen. We've seen Gwen slip through a little bit more in our tier 1 leagues, like in ODC and places like that. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't banned as frequently. So far, it's been perma-banned in the UKLC and over in the NLC, apart from the one game where it got played. So I'm curious whether or not we're going to see it finally slip through. Maybe teams feel that there's ways to handle it. We've seen things like the Wukong, the Gangplank as answers to it previously. For now, though, the Fresh, the Viego, the Zinzao, the Tristana, and the Nunu all banned.
Rumble or Gwen or
there, so
both.
She's open.
Yeah, our Enclave going to take the bait. Potentially that Gwen could be to some teams. Of course, when a champion like Gwen is banned so frequently, sometimes you just don't get practice in competitive play, and you don't end up actually getting a lot of practice in scrim. So let's see if Enclave want to lean on something like the Ezreal, or again this Karma, which has so much priority in the UKLC now. Again, I'm still on the fence. I personally, I'm not even on the fence anymore. I think Karma's a bait champion. I think there are so many other more powerful champions like this Lee Sin and like the Ezreal. Now, I'm not sure about the pairing together, because in my eyes, Lee, whilst yes, he is a very strong laner, you actually typically want to chuck him on the weak side because he can clean up waves so quickly, so efficiently and so safely. And that means you want to see something like Varus come out, which is what Enclave have locked in on the bottom side, so that you have a very secure top side to play towards, which is always going to have a very useful champion throughout the game. And then you have this strong side to play towards through Resolve. So let's see what the options are going to be. Like mentioned, the Seraphine and the Azir for Sykes, two champions he very heavily leans on a lot. And I'm expecting, I'm actually going to expect the Rumble. Albeit, whilst those champions are strong for Sykes, I think you want to lock in your jungler in the first three. You don't want to let the jungle ban start to come through in the second phase.
Yeah, remember, this is most likely going to be a solo lane Lee Sin, probably not going to be the jungle for Bakako. So they are looking for a support that can pair up with this Ezreal. They can take the Nautilus. Pretty nice when you've got an immobile champion like the Varus. Obviously, now that he builds Prowler's Claw, technically has a small level of mobility, but it's not really anything to fully bank on. So just going to block in something to kind of lock down the likes of Impulse on the Varus. And now we're into ban phase 2. The set is going to get taken away. I'm still curious whether or not we're going to see Gwen rear its head, but it does feel like the kind of constant fear of Gwen is starting to fade away a little bit, and teams still recognize that it's strong. It is still an incredibly strong champion, but it's not something we're seeing perma-ban. Now we'll see what the next ban is going to be here for Enclave, as technically they could just look to lock away junglers here, as they did take away the Kennen from Kenrito.
Yeah, take away the Kennen, I think, is an interesting choice. When yes, Lee Sin is there, and of old, Lee Sin's jungler, but right now he is a solo lane, predominantly. So I think it's a very interesting choice of ban. And I mean, again, from the Resolve side, banning away top laners that can probably deal with Lee Sin relatively well. So what are the options here for Resolve coming off this next R4 pick? I think realistically, you can either go for a flex, you can go for something like Redecton, lock in an AP jungler on R4 or R5 rather, or you can just lock in the jungler, hide the Lee Sin flex anyway. I think either one is fine, because you can see the Rumble's there. Rumble very rarely gets flexed into solo lanes, and the Castellan ban to me says that it's likely Seraphine. Ooh, and that's something we'll talk about in a second. Or the Azir. Either way, I think Castellan does really well into both those champions. So.
I just feel like Resolve are kind of getting away with murder right
Yes,
now.
they are. Yes. And I can't understate it enough.
Akali, you were very passionate over the weekend about Akali and LEC. Ezreal was something I've been very passionate, and probably you as well, have been incredibly passionate about recently. It's such an impressive AD carry. And, you know, this Lee Sin, still technically flexible, can go jungle. If they take something like a Gwen here as well, I just think Resolve just got away with everything here. Now, looking towards the support roster, they actually lock in the Braum. So it's going to be the Karma in the mid lane to try and absorb the pressure of the Akali. And I actually quite like this Wukong pick, because picking Gwen into Wukong, it's not like Wukong completely bonks the Gwen, but it is a matchup that can handle it. So it might be able to kind of force them off away from that really, really strong pick. Now, we'll see what the final rotation is going to be here for Resolve and what they want to put where, really, because they could go for a jungler, they could go for a top laner. They've got a few options open to them, and they're just going to cycle through some of those options now.
Yeah, and I think for Wukong, he deals pretty well with mobility, actually. So things like Lee Sin, things like Ezreal, not as easy to escape from a champion that's effectively got, you know, a dash and half plus a knockup, as we've come out of pick bans. I'm not quite sure what the R5 was. Okay, apparently it's a Renekton. As hopefully we get these issues resolved pretty quickly. But yeah, Renekton, like we said, I suppose it's actually going to end up being at least in jungle, unless we do get a swap up of what's going on here.
Yeah, it looks like we just quickly pinged out a bit too quickly there, but yeah, there you go. It's the Renekton in the top lane. I could see it. I guess you don't have a...
No, I just didn't have fast up on my right. No, I just didn't have the clean feed up at the moment, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's going to be the Renekton in the top lane versus the Wukong, Akali mid versus Karma. How do you actually feel this matchup goes? Because, you know, you've been very passionate in saying Akali's just broken, just like really, really broken. Do you think Karma can absorb the pressure, or just no?
I mean, so here's the thing with Akali. I don't think she's necessarily a champion that puts down a lot of pressure in the laning phase. So picking things like Karma, and specifically because Karma has a tether, it can be a little bit difficult to actually shroud and be completely safe throughout ganks. Because the tethers obviously reveal stealth targets. So I think a champion like Karma is one of the more ideal picks. I think we also saw over the weekend TSM picked LeBlanc into it, which has obviously got a tether in her kit through the ethereal chains. So again, another champion that can deal with Akali. But yeah, I think whilst Akali is very oppressive, she needs that Riftmaker to come online. She needs these skirmishes to kind of break out where she can go unchecked. And for the most part, there's not really any point and click CC outside of that tether from Karma. There's only really the concussive blows. There is, of course, the Chains of Corruption, but again, it's not necessarily point and click. Even if Akali's on top of you, sometimes she can slip out of it with a Shuriken flip or a perfect execution. So if Otter goes unchecked here, he can really do a lot of damage, I feel like, in the backline in these fights.
It feels, I mean, same technically with the tether as well. She can put enough distance to break the tether, and the Shuriken flip can help with that. So it does feel like there's not really, like outside of the chains, there's not like a decisive way to completely tie her up. I suppose you have the Cyclone from the Wukong as well, would give you that kind of momentary knockup. But yeah, I'm going to kind of continue in my thought that Resolve just got everything they wanted here in this pick and bans. Now, sure, you do have the Varus, you do have the Rumble, 2 picks that are very, very good right now. So we do see a lot of, and we have seen this kind of revival of Braum, and especially Braum into picks like the Nautilus, with his ability to kind of handle them once they jump in. He just can kind of absorb a lot of the pressure and then turn the fight. But outside of that, I feel like, honestly, Resolve, you got the Akali, something that, you know, we'll be able to deal with this Varus later. Sure, the Rumble's going to be nice in the team fighting as well, but, you know, outside of the Cyclone, and that's kind of reliant on N4 finding flanks, I struggle to see what their hard engage into a fight is. I suppose you have the chains as well, which can be fairly non-committal. So I guess they do have tools, actually, now I think about it. But I love what Resolve have got. They got the poke from the Ezreal, and then the Akali can just tidy these up every time.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to Resolve, they showed last week that they are very capable of playing through strong side, through towards win conditions, towards IM spikes. Albeit their second game was a little bit messier. I believe it was against Lucent or Viperia, one of the two. I struggle to see them necessarily have really hard times here. They do technically have 2 lanes where they might not win out, or they definitely shouldn't win out in priority. So let's see how, in particular, Skumond plays through the mid and the bottom lanes. And I mean, hell, even the top side, you can probably play into Wukong versus Renekton. It's a little more volatile, so maybe you stay away from it, especially when you're against something like Lee Sin jungle. But for now, we're here. First game of the day, Jake.
Yeah, we're on to the ref for game number 1 of the UKLC. This is the week 2 games. It feels so weird because week 3 starts tomorrow on NLC. But this is week 2. I'm honestly, everything is just melting into one, including the heat. Is FGG able to pick up that ward? Bit of solo experience, bit of cash money for the Nautilus.
Yeah, there you go. I'm surprised I did actually wait for McHugh to come down and share some XP. I don't know if in the bottom lane sharing XP actually gets you level 2 one creep earlier. This is the kind of niche thing I should do. But
yeah, this is your job.
Observer just went left, right. So I'm assuming the answer is no.
No, he's working towards some kind of cheat code.
3 more inputs, and he's gonna have
AB left, right, down, AB.
But, yeah, okay. So red side start for the Rumble here, and for Bakako, actually going to be starting up on the blue buff completely alone. I don't think he got a leash from his bottom lane. So let's see how that affects the clear speed, because Lee Sin, especially since season 11, has not been the fastest clearer in the world. The removal of Machete really has hurt his clear speed. As you can see, Rumble's probably halfway through his Krugs right now, whereas Lee has pretty much only just slid up the drum. But yeah, we'll have to see how this jungle matchup develops, because it's definitely not one that is necessarily the most common in the world. Just because Lee is so frequently put into the solo lanes. And something to note is that we actually just didn't see Gwen picked up either. Resolve turned their nose up at it. Decided that they didn't want it.
I just think the Wukong pick was why.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wukong does pretty well into it now. Ward is very nice. He does spot out Screwmond on his red side clear, but he's now moving on towards his blue side. You can see Bakako is basically a camp behind, and red side has more minions and things to kill, so it's technically the slower side to clear. So see how this kind of affects Bakako's kind of speed here, and this means both these junglers are going to be on this side of the map for the Rift Herald, and Bakako just seeing if he can go for the steal. He's got Ken Ruto moving over.
This is nice.
This could be really, really big. They spot him out, and Bakako's just going to come in, look to steal it away as they slice, they dice, they lock him down, and Screwmond is picked up for first blood. Ken Ruto secures the kill.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant invade. He was talking about Lee Sin falling behind in tempo. What did he do? He stops taking his own camps, walks straight over to where he expects the Rumble to be, and he is exactly where he expects him to be. And now he's going to pick up the blue, he's going to pick up the Grump as well, probably get the top side skull, and Resolve even have bottom side priority. And I feel like Meiku and FGG might just pick up the bottom side skull as this is a hefty trade.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Bakako.
Yeah.
I mean, Ken Ruto's got the red buff. He's got enough sustain.
Screwmond is not liking life right now.
Maybe it does take a little bit of poke for that, but I think he's quite happy to do so. As this wave crashes in for, he's just used the dash as well, so he's going to have to rely on his clone as this wave is going to...
That might be enough to dissuade it.
Yeah?
Yeah. That one tower shot there, just because the range creep started to aggro Kenruro there, and it was in such a precarious position, he couldn't actually finish off the creep, and he couldn't crash the wave. So that one tower shot is going to dissuade the dive. And all in all, Resolve went out relatively big, honestly. They stopped Screwmond from even taking the bottom side skull too. So he was effectively quartered off to 4 camps. He's still on 17 CS. So let's see if Resolve can actually snowball this pressure with this lead that they've got in the jungle now. Because Lee, whilst again, not the most typical jungle champion these days, still has a lot of that snowball pressure available to him. And now that Screwmond doesn't have flash, I mean, you've got champions like the Renekton and the Nautilus to fall back on in some of these invades. There's a lot of CC and damage that can be paired up on. And Rumble, even though he likes running into people, he definitely doesn't like people running into him in stacks and in numbers. So let's see if Screwmond takes it a little bit slow. Tries to make sure he doesn't get invaded on again.
We'll have to keep our eyes on that as he is now down in the jungle clearing department. Bakako obviously picked up the assist gold as well, so running around with that pickaxe is a Screwmond who's got the amp tome. And Bakako hasn't even started his red yet, so he's actually got a kind of a wealth of gold to kind of pick up, and needs to reset this these topside camps because these chickens are still level 1. So kind of needs to get the reset on that. So there is at least that going for Screwmond, is his his camps are going to be respawning faster onto the map as level 2 camps. In fact, he's already done his red side ones, I believe. So he has that in his favor, but Bakako still has himself a level lead over him right now, and more camps to farm. Once this Gromp goes down, it's a matter of waiting for this red buff to come back up before he can really pick up any more farm.
Yeah. And Bakako going to be a bit closer to dinging over to level 6 quicker than the Rumble, which can be also impactful when you're talking about Rumble having the Equalizer on such a short cooldown. It's one of his major skirmishing tools now. Oh, eyeing up the top side, but Bakako is here.
Yeah, it's going to be the ultimate used by both. Double Cyclone, and the cooking is there. Bakako comes in with the flash, following up on the Screwmon. He's going low, and it's a double kill for Infor.
This is a huge win on the top side for Enclave, especially after how the early invade actually went. Screwmon obviously died, and now picking up 2 assists, 2 kills into the back pocket of a Wukong, who realistically can take over a game like this if he's allowed a lot of free access. When you're talking about Renekton, Lee Sin, Akali all wanting to dive forward, if it is just the Ezreal by himself, can always find a lot of execute damage. Get the replay here, and I mean, quite frankly, it's not the best timed trade for Kenruro. He's just kind of baited in. Fake reassurance really that Bakako is in the area. Doesn't quite realize Screwmon is so close and that much faster to play.
Now level 6 has been hit on Otter here on the Akali, as he just rejoins into the mid lane. Was looking to see if there was a little play to be made. 7 minutes in, and we haven't actually seen a dragon go down yet. Normally we've seen dragons getting picked up a lot quicker in these games, but for now, neither team kind of paying too much attention towards that objective. Resolve probably want to try and get themselves a little bit more pressure here in the bot side before they think about going for that dragon. And Bakako has some farm to pick up in this bottom side of the jungle anyway, so he's in the area at the least.
Let's see as well, because Resolve are stacking this wave. You can see they're slow pushing it. They're trying to push it in as slowly as possible. They're going to try and crash on that wave that's coming out of the base just now. And we'll see if Bakako wants to try and get the dragon slide up. Doesn't have mid lane priority, which is a thing to note. As Oz resetting, but he does have teleport. So if they are looking to start the dragon, he will certainly be here. As the rotation comes out, it's not a perfect crash, but it might be all the time necessary. However, Screwmon is right here, so if they don't burst it down quickly, could end up seeing a skirmish.
Enclave know it's going on, but Screwmon not waiting to pull the trigger quite yet. The dragon's been secured. Meiku will eat a charge of the concussive blow, but he's going to be perfectly fine. Not going to be running low here, and didn't lose any farm. Just a really cheeky little take there by Resolve.
Yep. Real nice timing. Got the wave stacked in and bot. And realistically, Impulse and Reikly are the kind of lane that you'd want to play through as Enclave with the Savaris and Braum to get a dragon take started up. So if they have to catch this huge wave, even if you have mid lane priority as Enclave, it can be a little bit hard to force through the objective. So clean pickup all in all for Resolve. Now it's about this Rift Herald. Realistically, who wants to get their hands onto that one? Of course, First Herald is objectively a little more useful typically than a lot of these first dragons.
Yeah.
Get a lot more gold value immediately, and it seems like Bakako is going to be the first of the race. As Cyclone used and equalizes here from Screwmon.
Yeah, Kenrito goes very low, but, well, half health low. But he's going to be okay. Sykes gets first rotation into the jungle. That means Bakako has to back off. No teleports in these bot laners here, so these lot won't be able to join the fight. And it looks like Resolve aren't quite done giving up on this Rift Herald. They're moving over. Bakako's trying to come in. Almost lands the Q, but not going to quite connect it. And Scumon able to pick up the Rift Herald. So Dragon for Rift Herald trade is the end play of all of this action. And Infor now looking for Kenrito. Kenrito maybe overstaying his welcome a little bit here. Has to pop the dominance as the equalizer is there. He's getting burnt down as he flashes to safety. Kenrito just been a little bit too greedy. No teleport available. He might just lose a bunch of plates on this tower, if not the tower.
Yeah, I mean, Kenrito is right here. I mean, Bakako is right here, so he's going to have the support of the Lee Sin if he wants it. But given the HP values, they might not even feel safe. We'll have to see. It's all right. Might turn this into a gank, actually. I mean, yeah, okay.
I was about to say, I was like,
bated breath, friend.
That would be a fun insect, but it would also be a terrible insect.
Yeah, I mean, all things Oh.
Okay, I'm getting a bit too hypey about a quick.
All things considered, you know, Resolve were up in the ult economy, so if they wanted to take the fight, they technically could have, but
yeah.
I think Bakako had a lot of gold sitting in his inventory, so he didn't quite want to go for that fight just then and there. Potentially, you know, just a little bit too close in stats in terms of actual gold spent to the Rumble. As this mid lane's been pretty quiet, Otter's not really been disturbed, so pretty much on a free path to securing the Rift, make a power spike, which, as we saw over the weekend, anybody watching the LEC, I think they're pretty aware of what Akali is actually capable of. She's not bad.
Kali is just, yeah, Kali's kind of nuts at the moment.
I think it's strange in the sense of her early laning got gutted pretty bad, and I think that at the moment this is a pretty early to mid lane, mid game focused now for the most part. So when you think about a champion as weak in lane as Akali, you think, well, maybe she's not even worth picking. But it seems like a lot of teams just aren't punishing her in lane hard enough, and the cons of effectively not having a mid laner at levels 1 through 5 are outweighed by having one of the most broken champions at level. As we have our games later on today.
We do?
One, Envision Bulldog, Eminem Lucent, London Viperio. Bunch of fun games. Most likely occurring, so make sure you're sticking around. Don't want to miss those ones.
And if you're not sticking around, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing today on this fine Monday?
I'm melting. Yeah. Under a studio light.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. There we go. Bakago's getting a little bit heated here himself as Impulse has to flash away, but Bakago will be good. Otter gets himself one onto Impulse, so it's a 1-for-1 so far, but the Cyclone onto Meiki's doing a lot of work as he has to flash away to safety. Ken Ruto has joined. The concussive blows are stacking, but not stacking quick enough as Ken Ruto looking for in-board. The shield is big. Otter's waiting for his opportunity to jump in, but the perfect execution is down. He flashes forward. 5-point strike into the Shuriken flip, into the hurt. Resolve are finding every skill shot necessary, and it's a double kill for Otter.
And you don't want to see 2 kills going into the pocket of an Akali an early skirmish like this. We're only about 15 minutes into the game, if that 13. That's going to be a scary Akali now. 6 stacks on the Darksteel, got that Riftmaker in pocket. I don't know if she's got enough gold for anything else. Just going to go for the null magic for now. Yeah, quick look at the gold values. You can see almost 1,000 gold ahead now, the Akali. 3-0. Already. That's not what you want to see after this weekend's antics on the LEC. I'll tell you that for free. Replay comes in and it's just a nice Dragon's Rage by Bakako. Impulse actually stays alive longer than he probably deserves to be honest with you. Shouldn't have really gotten off that flash by his... Oh, that cleans that one up. Bakako just grilled by the Equalizer and the Flame Spear on the backside. And honestly, Enclave, I feel like they just overcommit a little bit too far into this sort of choke, small corridor area. And eventually it just means you can see, with the level 5-point strike, you can just throw down so many. The AoE slow is absolutely massive, and it means that the rest of Resolve can actually capitalize here. And despite the skirmish going in favor of Resolve, they do end up dropping the dragon on the backside as, Bakako.
In 4, getting jumped onto. Dragon's Rage is moments away from coming up as the kick is connected. Bakako probably not going to pull that trigger.
No.
As Dragon was secured for Enclave. They also used the Herald during that replay as well to get a bunch of plates here in this bottom side. And as the plates have now fallen off, this has just left a very low health turret here. FGG, maybe looking for a cheeky hook, maybe not.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to hold it. Nice bit of aggression in the top side from Bakako. I feel like he's been pretty on point for the most part in that department so far this game. Despite the scoreline, it might not necessarily tell the full story of his gameplay so far. As on the top side, tower taken and immediately traded on the bottom side by Enclave here. So 1-1 apiece. Potentially a play in the mid lane to be had. Decent kick is available. No flash from Sykes. Oh no, flash is available from Sykes rather. So Resolve just it's clearing the way from too far away. I'm not going to go for this one. As one thing I will say is I do potentially fear for Resolve, for Enclave's sort of consistent damage as time goes on. As you've got support mid lane Karma, and then you've got Lethality Varus. There is a lot of poke and setup. But in terms of actually DPSing, you could have some issues here.
I've got a completely off-topic point.
Yeah.
Look at the back of Karma. It looks like the Moonstone is literally on her character.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of similar. Did Sykes know?
How interesting. I mean, it quite literally looks like the Moonstone icon.
It's the right colors. It's round.
It's round. All right.
What more do you want?
True.
Now we return to the game. Enclave honestly doing a pretty good job of picking up these objectives. They've been able to take that dragon. They just got themselves the Rift Herald as well. As Sykes, you walked forward and I see Nautilus hooked like that line. That was Sykes' Sykes is probably a little bit clenched right now.
Yeah, I want to know what shoes he's wearing. Because I might need to get
Lucidity boots at the moment, mate.
Right, you know what? I fall to that.
Yeah, you walked into that, buddy. Yeah, see, Sykes gives you the crab. Okay, so with the fact that Enclave being able to pick up this Rift Herald and a dragon in recent exchanges, they're doing okay, but they are still down in gold. It is a 1,000, 2,000 gold lead between these two teams. Now, one turret apiece has been picked up. Otter's pushing into In4 here, as this is a pretty low turret on the bottom side as well. And it feels like now that Meiku and FGG are just going to be holding mid waves, they should be feeling pretty safe. They got the Divine Sunderer. It's obviously an Ezreal, so it's not the most insane wave clear, but the True Shot Barrage can chip through the waves if necessary, and they're going to need to use this Rift Herald if they want to take the tier 2. Question is are they going to get the opportunity to do so? As 3 members of Resolve have now moved down to this bottom side of the map, and Infor seems to have read the play. So he's just backing off as he places a ward, instantly gets spots out, assures him that he knows that there's people around, and he's just going to have to sit back and call it here.
Yeah, good game sense, and the lane assignments and wave states at the moment mean that Enclave can't really respond to this play appropriately. So this is just going to be a free tower pickup here for Resolve. You can see Sykes is pretty much on his side of the map in the top lane. Mid lane, there was 2 members committed. Rightly didn't match the roam on the bottom side, so it's just going to be a free tower. There's pretty much no vision on the bottom side here for Enclave that I can see. I think it's just complete darkness.
Blue team's turret has
Yeah.
Other than that one ward that they can see FGG recalling on.
And that's not even really on their side of the map, per se. So, I mean, he's fine. He's got Arcane Shift. So.
I think that ward actually gave it away. That lane ward, I think he saw them all move up and he went, ooh.
Oh, never mind.
This is a bit risky. Hold up.
Yeah, but Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. We have already spoken about the fact it's a Cloud Soul. It's a pretty decent dragon in this game, to be honest with you. A lot of champions want to cast their abilities, or their ultimates rather, off cooldown. The movement speed, particularly useful, I feel like, for Wukong and Rumble. And I think a Renekton isn't going to mind a little more MS champion that, you know, he's got a lot of dashes, but why not give him that bit extra? Bump him up in the mobility department.
Well, let's start with the dragon spawning up. It is now Resolve who have first priority on this rotation towards it, so we'll see whether or not Enclave can actually even look to contest it. Like you highlighted earlier, the vision control in that top side, in that red side jungle, very Resolve favored right now. So Enclave don't really have a single ward other than that one pink and the one in the camp. So I think they're just going to have to give this one up. It's not the end of the world for Enclave to lose this dragon anyway. It's only the second one for Resolve. It looks like they're shifting their attention towards just warding up around this Baron area. I don't think we're going to see a Baron get started quite yet. They're not particularly the most bursty team when it comes to a Baron, but they just want to make sure that Resolve themselves aren't able to sneak it away.
Yeah, but I will say, I think Enclave, they've been a little bit slow this game. Especially talking about being against an Akali and an Ezreal. Info could be in trouble. Oh my!
Hello. I mean, one more dash? Yeah.
Permaban or nerf this champion, I don't care which. Just make it happen. It can't be on the Rift anymore, man. There's no way. I mean, okay. Granted, should Infor be checking there when he doesn't know where Otter is? No. Should he basically get one shot off of Shuriken Flip? Also no. Infor, not a lot of counterplay there other than just don't be there. Nice flash kick.
They found Skumon. That's going to be enough for the kill. Equalizer is laid out, and Bakiko actually follows up. He might get locked underneath as a True Shot Barrage does a bunch of damage to Impulse. That was a beautiful kick by Bakiko.
Yeah, real nice. And I mean, honestly, the Baron's just spawned up, so just by the timing of this play, if they want to take the flip, they can. They know Info doesn't have Cyclone. Obviously, they just killed the jungler. Pathing towards it, but it feels a little bit half-hearted. They would have gone for it immediately if they wanted it. And instead, just going to strip away the jungle, clear out some vision, go for the reset. No need to take this up to 11th gear as...
oh, no.
No, not again.
Oh, he's doing it. Oh, there's the flip. There's the follow. The invisibility's not enough. And Otter will make short work of the monkey.
Okay. Now, who's our next game, Jake?
Our next game is Bulldog and Vision, Jamada.
Bulldog and Vision, I know you're probably listening because I know how pre-games work. Ban it. I don't want to see it. And that goes for the rest of the teams today. I don't need to see Akali on the Rift again as poor Informer. Now, this is the kind of point in the game where, especially when he's got Zhonya's inner inventory and, you know, could even go for a Magi's already. There's just so much damage and ability to sort of just slow down team fights in the backline that Enclave are going to have a really tough time. And this is why I was saying I feel like Enclave, they're playing the game a little bit too slow. They're kind of watching Resolve play the game. Almost feels like they're sort of spectators to their own demise right now. They've not necessarily tried to go for cross maps. You can see, I don't even know if it's really been ping-ponging waves. They haven't really been like hard-chaving waves or anything like that. They've just not been proactive.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfectly fine critique of them in this game, unfortunately. You can see, if we take stock of the items as well, it really is a tale of how this game is going. You got 2 items on Kenruto, 1 item on N4. Item and a half on junglers. Junglers have tied, I'll give that. But Otter, you know, working towards that 3rd item now, 2.5 items in, versus Sykes, who has a Moonstone and the Purifier. So, you know, these are cheap items for Sykes, and he's not even technically matching in just the amount of number of items Otter has right now. You got 80 carry. That man of Mune is now finished up. Otter, Meikyu has the Divine Thunderer to just Prowler's Claw and an extra Dirk. The damage Enclave have, the items they have are just nowhere near able to contest what Resolve are working with. And Resolve are just calling their bluff. They're going, we don't think you can really do much here. Other than a great equalizer, I think you're going to struggle. And remember, this is the poster belt, not Nightheart's turn. Otter is looking for the assassination. Perfect executions forwards, gets eaten up by the chains, and that's actually just chains down by impulse. That's a pretty nice burn of a summoner spell.
Yeah, and I mean, on the flip side, it does mean that Enclave can, you know, they can rest easy for now. I mean, like they have been for the last 23 minutes, really. But, you know, the Akali almost on a relatively short cooldown. Yes, the chains are on a shorter cooldown, but again, Enclave, they haven't really been looking for proactive plays with the chains. They haven't really been looking for picks in Fog of War. They've just kind of caught waves and let Resolve do what they want on the side lanes. Now, you know, great. They took the early objectives. They got an early dragon. They picked up a Rift Herald. Nothing's really come of it. They've got 1 tower, and they're kind of just sat here slowly. I wouldn't even say this is Resolve bleeding them out, because I feel like realistically, if Resolve wanted to press harder, I feel like they're being pretty easy on Enclave too. So let's see. Again, another Baron attempt starting up here, and I think it's the right call. Just try and bring Enclave into you, because as long as you can dodge away from some of the ultimates and the wombo combos, you're going to blow up people. Or if he finds a nice flank here,
he's in the flank.
Key target.
He's spotted out by Ward. That might just be enough to scare Enclave away from overstaying. Otter will be spotted out by a Ward by Rightly as well. And in the meantime, the Crocodile wasn't actually with the team.
What's going on?
The chains.
Right.
There's the equalizer. That's pretty nice. It's just going to draw the line, though. Resolve not really caught out by it. Info speeding towards Meikyu, and Bakugo able to jump over as Bakugo, able to jump out to safety. Kenruto on that flank as here's the lockdown onto the Crocodile for the moment. Otter might be waiting for his opportunity, but they can't really commit to the Crocodile. They're too scared of Otter and just the follow-up from the rest of Resolve. Now that the equalizer and chains were down, it was just too risky. So it's a matter of poking now for the moment, but FGG waiting for that perfect opportunity to find the hook as he's going to get turned onto by the rest of the team, and now Otter uses this as the opportunity to jump forward. Kenruto pops the ultimate, and it's just an absolute blender of damage. Enclave are being liquefied, they are being melted as Rightly jumps to safety, but the Sonic Strike is going to get kicked. Bakugo's going to come forward, Rightly's going to get executed. That's another kill for the Lee Sin. Resolve just melt through Enclave in that team fight.
Minced, shredded, obliterated, eviscerated, whatever descriptor you want to put in it, that's exactly what just happened to Enclave in that choke. Just too many sharp objects going on there, Renekton, the Akali. And quite frankly, they just couldn't deal with it. Not enough peel in the world can save an AD carry from a 603 Akali. And that's just going to be a Baron picked up from Resolve, I think. Nice and clean, even though FGG started off by nearly getting picked off. He didn't even die. And he didn't even flash. So I don't know how the hell he got out of that one. Daylight robbery, if you ask me. But I mean, again, Enclave, I feel like they just sat on their hands for too long. And now Resolve, quite frankly, they're just too far ahead. As replay,
it's a massive lead. It's a massive lead. And we're just seeing the replay again. It's just, like I said, a blender of damage.
Yeah, there's just nothing you can do. You walk yourselves into this choke. You are on blue side. Walk towards mid lane, guys. It's just the support. It's not the most gold in the world, but commit for FGG they do, and potentially lose game for FGG they will. Okay. I mean, Shroud, Zhonya's 3 members. 4 members.
Can't stop watching if you see Seed is able to do so. The equalizer comes down. Otter dashes out, goes into the Shroud, waiting for the opportunity to get the blast going over. Otter's out to safety. Now FGG might be in trouble as the Tether gets flashed away. Impulse flashes forward and Makeu's on the flank. Now looking for Skumon. The health bars are going low on the side of Resolve as the kick comes in. And Kenruto is joined onto the fight. FGG and Otter are very, very low, but they don't give a damn. They're just launching into the fray. Impulse is taken out by Maku, who's the one flanking. A double kill for Kenruto. In4 being chased onto. Maku's damage. It has spiked well and truly as the monkey will fall. Maku gets an unofficial triple kill. The kick's going to land on site. Teleports are going into the top side of the map as well. Resolve are taking everything and more right now as the chain gets broken, but the Crocodile makes sure that Sykes is locked down. And this will be the end of days for the side of Enclave. Resolve absolutely obliterate them.
Yeah, and I'm almost lost for words at the Akali champion, but I'm going to ignore it. Don't worry. This is not going to be the Akali, hate club. Resolve, honestly, they play that one as well as a team as they realistically could have. Enclave overcommit to try and take down the Akali. They might try and overcommit here again. Or I would say he's overstepped while he's playing Akali, so I don't know what threat there really is.
He's got ult again. Rightly, you don't want this. What are you doing, Rightly? That's just not the one. I'm speechless.
I'm like one more obnoxious. Well, no. All right.
No,
that's
that
justified. That's justified. Come on. It's like a level 9 support or level 10 or as level 16. I get it. I understand why it happened. But it's about the journey that we took to get here. So, hey,
you like the holiday destination. The journey there sucked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Enclave, they're feeling the pain. This is going to be a slow bleed. I mean, it's been a slow bleed for a while. Unfortunately, Resolve, they haven't really put their foot on the gas that hard, I feel, compared to what they could have been doing. But when you take a step back and you realize we're now sat in a 12,000 gold deficit for Enclave, you can be generous to Resolve, I feel like. As I mean, I don't know what it will take for Enclave to come back into this one outside of sacrificing a firstborn to Cthulhu or something. Yeah, it's looking tough. It's looking rough. Total damage of this game, I think Otter leading the pack makes about as much sense as grass being green.
Yeah. Kenruto's found in 4. This is a 2-level deficit between our top laners here. And this isn't even a fair fight because FGG's just going to jump forward. He Hex flashed in. The Cyclone is pretty, but in 4, Crocodiles don't care about the wind.
Yeah, and crocodiles also enjoy eating monkeys. Fun fact.
True. So, another cool fact is otters, actually giant otters, kill crocodiles.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. As cute as otters actually are,
Yeah, they're vicious. Anyway, speaking of vicious, this might be a bit vicious onto Otters. They are trying to cook him on the barbecue as he's trying to jump away, but he's on that equalizer, slowly but surely getting cooked up. But right clean field, the flash battle. My lord, Otter, don't play with my heart like that.
I don't know whose heart he's playing with. Ours or Enclave's.
Meku! I don't know who's more ridiculous here. The fact the AD carry just shifted into 2 tanks. 2 CC tank. Well, sorry, a tank. Or the fact that make it Otters. I don't know. I'm speechless.
Yeah. It's a tough game for Enclave. Enclave party. I did say off air, I felt like this was maybe going to be a bit of a one-sided slobber knocker, but I didn't expect this. This is harsh.
Oh, him. That minion, deserves a raise.
I mean, do they even have the goal to give him a raise right now?
That is fair. The chains look to spread, but they're only going to go onto FTG, and he is taken out. Impulse gets the kill. Equalizes there, but here comes an Otter, and he's looking for a sight. Kenruto jumps in onto the back line, and Meku just makes short work of Infor. Here comes Otter. He's sliding in with that perfect execution. The true shot barrage cuts through everyone, and Impulse is taken out. Otter finds a double kill. Screwmon and Sykes are cut away from the fountain, and Sykes is locked down, and Meku is dominating. The ace for the side of Resolve. They only lose 1. They only lose 5 total in the game as well. 23 kills to 5, 31 minutes on the clock. A gigantic gold lead and a Cloud Soul. Resolve absolutely obliterate Enclave in our first game of the day.
Yeah, and, Resolve following suit to the previous roster in spring right now. On record, 3-0 right now. Very early days, but still looking very, very strong, very concise. I think they definitely could have, pressed a little harder, but at the end of the day, you don't have to rush things like this when you have such a guaranteed lead. And I mean, looking at it from the POV of Enclave, just too much inactivity, too much sitting on the hands throughout the mid game. They kind of just watched Resolve rotate from mid to side lane consistently. And when it came to fighting on these neutrals, they just weren't able to keep up.
Really, really good game there from Resolve, honestly, keeping themselves going at 3-0 now here in the UKLC. But for now, it's time for us to take a break. And when we're back, we have an interview with
Kenruto.
There we go. See you in a moment.